with another Gutter Growth podcast for you. Today I've got Tom Anthony Jr. with me, owner of Maxflow Seamless Gutters and now Northeast Specialty Gutter Supply. What's going on, brother?
How you doing, buddy? Happy to be back in the saddle.
Yeah, we got to just spend some time outside of the saddle in Pittsburgh with Chris. We had a good time.
Yeah, I had a great time. You're actually representing him with a hat. I like it. Old Gutter
Genius. I do got his hat on today.
You do. Look at that.
I like that. We had a good time. It was freaking cold outside at that race, but well worth it. The views, we ate pretty good.
We ate like 6,000 oysters. Ate every oyster in Pittsburgh.
Work hard, play hard. Today we want to talk about how hard you've been working and what you're up to and what the benefits are of longevity in the market, and kind of you're finding your way into a new market you're dabbling in, which is the specialty gutter supply. Let's just kind of talk a little bit about that.
All right. So we started Northeast Specialty Gutter Supply last year. Was kind of a soft launch. We were using our existing specialty machines that we had from Maxflow Seamless Gutters. We do a lot of specialty business, and really just start offering it to people all over the Northeast that may or may not have the machines. Photo right there. Actually, that was the day we picked up our 7/8 machine. That was actually one of the coolest days of my life to see those two machines sitting side by side.
So cool.
So shiny. I'm looking at it now and I'm smiling. You know as well as I know, like the addiction that comes with starting to get into the specialty market and buying these machines, and we're really passionate about it. So,
not without getting too far sidetracked, staying on specialty. Let's talk about the rig setup, though. I'm a fan of the box truck. I love the same setup. I'm also a huge fan of two specialty machines in one rig, whatever kind of rig it is. There's something about it when you're a gutter guy. Jeffrey Cope has really nice setup as well, too. The couple double rigs, and the way you guys have them set up is really nice. What is it that you like the most about going with the box truck?
Well, so this rig you're actually looking at is a trailer setup. So what we have for
correct.
Yeah. So one of them is we have a 5.6 setup and an 18-foot box truck. That is one of our daily runners. It's really handy. The box truck is nice because you can obviously get in and out of places really easily. And then we have 3 enclosed trailers that house specialty machines. And it's nice that you don't have to have more motors to maintain when you have a trailer. Of course, it comes with a little bit of a disadvantage as far as space, especially if you get on some city streets, you're going to end up needing, some of my rigs are 22 foot long plus the truck. So you're sitting at 45 feet by the time you're said and done. But the advantage of the trailer is obviously you get a little bit more room, as well as you can just have one truck that pulls them all if you need to move them all the time,
That's that setup, correct?
Yeah. So that setup is actually a 5.6. Right
okay.
I have 2 5.6s that run. And then we have a 7/8 angle face, a 5.6 angle face, a 6-inch half round. And then actually this upcoming Friday, as you know, I'm going to Kalamazoo to pick up an 8-inch half round. I don't think that anybody else has one in the Northeast. Pretty sure. If somebody does, please chime in, but I have not heard of one. So we'll be adding that to the market as well, and that'll be available. All of those profiles are available for chop and drop as well.
I love it. What was your decision? I'm going to come back to the 8-inch machine. You've already kind of been a specialty monster. Talk to us a little bit, to the guy or gal that's listening, doesn't have all the experience you do. And, they're just pushing 5. Maybe they just got 6-inch machine and they're like, all right, I see the value. What in your experience is that biggest hurdle to overcome to kind of spend that next amount of money on a specialty machine, as we would say, half round box, whatever. Right. Even a 7-inch is considered still, I think, a specialty
machine. Especially in the Northeast, there's not many 7-inches. There's not many 7-inches running around. And honestly, I would have to bet that mine runs amongst the most of them up here.
Okay.
But I would say the biggest hurdle is getting your normal business in line first. If you want to jump into the specialty stuff, you really have to know your numbers on the 5.6. You know what I mean? Because it can get way wonky when you start buying specialty materials and specialty machines. I mean, those are a lot different numbers. You bid a 8-inch half round wrong with external hangers, and that one will hurt. Or if you bid a copper wrong, And then you show up and you're like, oh man, there's another 70 feet on this job, or I didn't realize I needed a bunch more elbows than I need. Like, those aren't small numbers on a job, especially if you're not building it right.
Basement flooding, roof leaks, mold.
No. I have to clean the gutters.
Go back to sleep, honey. We installed one gutter guard.
Prevent unexpected and costly damage from clogged gutters. Protect your home with one gutter guard, the trusted solution for gutter protection. Call us today to schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate.
Understanding the product in general, all of us started somewhere where, you had to do your first job. But there's a little bit of research that goes into it, paying attention to guys like you or I or any of the other specialty guys.
Mm-hmm.
Helps. Watching some content on that, reaching out to us too. I mean, as you know, just like you, we coach a couple guys as well. Before I was even coaching, I didn't mind talking to people about the business. I love the business. So, reach out to guys like you and I or Tim or really any of these good guys that are on these pages. Also being a premium installer. And by that, I mean doing quality work. Like, that's the number one thing. The specialty customer isn't going to be tolerant typically of a bad install. If they're thinking that much about their gutters, you have the customer that you put the gutters up and you go, oh, how do you like them? And they go, they're gutters, right?
Right.
That's your specialty customer. Your specialty customer is going to want to look up and go, oh, I paid the extra money for that. I put a lot of thought into it, or maybe I upsold them into it, but they're paying a premium. So you've got to do good work. If you're the guy in the market that's doing mediocre work for cheap, it's probably not for you. And quite frankly, a lot of us aren't going to welcome it. You're going to be almost demonized.
Let me ask you this about you in specialty. I remember this day, I think me and you were chatting about something off the record, but you know how to break a machine apart and clean it and mess with it and tune it. Talk to other guys about, like, when it's going to be important for them to understand, like, that is some next level stuff. Not only just to own the business, but to be able to, like, dive into a machine and not have to scratch your head too long and create a solution for something.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it comes with general acumen of mechanics or, any kind of craft work. A lot of it also comes with trial and error. Like I said, I think that I'm not a proponent of somebody in their second year or first year of business going out and buying a bunch of specialty machines, or, how many times were you jammed up on a job literally and you didn't have an option? I mean, KWM is very helpful. Don't get me wrong. They can guide you through pretty much anything. But to understand the roll forming process, understand what each roller is doing, where it's pressing, where it's pulling, whatever it may be, and where it's affecting that on the gutter itself. That's, it takes years of experience as well as just diving in. I mean, I'm sure you've done it over the years, just like I have, in bed, and next thing you know, you're watching somebody tear down a gutter machine, or, tear down a roofing panel machine, or tuning a roofing panel machine. Just, I'd say what really helps is a general interest and curiosity about any kind of manufacturing process. I think that's really key to it.
I want to ask you a little bit about your team. I get to hear a lot about them, but you teach them a wide array of techniques. I know that, especially as you're coming into the specialty, but you yourself are very talented in the gutter install. And in fact, quite frankly, I mean, you finally just made the decision about a year ago, or for this year, right? You're officially off the truck. You're enjoying that. You've got it built. You built it for the most part, right? I know you still.
Oh no, yeah, no, I'm off the truck. I haven't had my tool belt on at all.
So tell us a little bit about your team, like right now, where they're solid at, and some of the lessons you've learned over your tenure of owning a business, and what makes the team able to do what you just said, which is make sure that they take special care of those customers when they're dealing with the higher end clientele.
Lots and lots of processes put in place, quality control processes. Also the responsibility of myself to my team to make sure that they're learning and growing.
Yeah.
I think that's very important. I mean, we have it might be a 5-minute, 10-minute meeting in the morning. Like, hey boys, we need to work on this. You need to work on that. What do I need to work on? A lot of reinforcement. It doesn't matter. I don't think how many processes you have in place. everybody's human and things still get missed sometimes. And it's still on whether it's a GM or a foreman or the owner to police those issues and make sure that everybody's on the same page, as well as the hiring process. Like, I've had good installers in the past, like really good installers in the past that were just generally weren't down for the cause, right? Like, it doesn't matter how good they put up gutter or how fast they put up gutter. If they're a negative to the culture, they got to go, So it's making sure that everybody's on the same page, everybody's helping each other. And then pulling them aside too and teaching them. And I think I've shared videos in the group in gutter growth where it's just me and some guys in my shop for a few minutes or for a couple hours or sometimes half day, full day on rain days where we're just teaching techniques. Hey, that car is getting worked on, for the record, putting tires on it. It's not broken down. I know there's some Tesla hate. So,
it's not me. You know how much I love my Tesla.
Yeah. That car is not broken. It's getting tires in my shop.
So I showed it because, you like to step out a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the decision to get the Tesla and maneuver. And I know I just wanted to touch on this lightly, myself included, Chris, a couple other people, Bubba. Anyway, I think it's a fantastic sales vehicle. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I bought it 4 years ago. I've been screaming at y'all about Teslas for 4 years. I mean, I bought at the time you know what it was more than anything? I wanted a little bit of a sports car, right? I wanted the power. And there was other cars you could obviously buy. You can go buy a Beamer or a Mercedes or whatever it was. But the cost of ownership was such a good deal, as well as it was a head turner. It scratched a lot of itches. But I was able to get away with showing up in a Tesla plays a little bit different than if I showed up in like an M4, right? Like, I would never sell a job out of an M4. This was a good way, save some money on fuel because obviously I drive a lot. Really, it would just played better, honestly. Like, would you buy gutters from a guy in a Porsche? No, nobody would buy gutters from a guy in a Porsche. Maybe as I grow the specialty business, some people might appreciate.
I pulled up. It's a wild cars, man.
Yeah, I don't know how the Porsche in Central New York would play. That would be
right. It's all about location.
Yeah, if I was in Palm Beach and I showed up in the Porsche, said like, "Oh, my kid's got the same car." Central New York, not so much.
One last question about your team. I know that a huge part of your success is that you lead from the front, right? And we get to talk a lot about this in our gutter growth program. We talk a lot about it just in life in general, right? Whether it's in our business relationships, our personal relationships. Talk to me a little bit here about, again, leading from the front, where you get your core values that you're going to bring over to the specialty from Max Flow. I just looking at this picture here, it tells me a little bit about your business, right? And I see that everybody's got standoffs. I see you're using quality ladders. People have their pouches on. Speak to me about, you're talking about those systems and processes, and now you're able to really kind of, in a sense, step away a lot more from Max Flow and focus on the specialty side. What do you think are some of the biggest deliverables that you have just shown your team by example that you're going to be able to bring over to the specialty side to serve your clients as they grow into quite possibly other gutter companies?
I would say an unwavering commitment to quality is one of the biggest things. Like, the products that we sell, we install. So I'm not going to sell a hanger for the sake of selling a hanger. We've all ordered hangers from a supply house, and then we get them in our hand and we're like, wow, this thing's garbage. Like, what am I going to do with this? These are all products that I've used that are proven that I would only install myself, as well as like the consulting side of it. One of the benefits of calling us is that you're going to talk to people that do gutters, that are, the industry leaders in the space on the install side. But I would say, the unwavering commitment to quality and the general curiosity of the trade is really, as well as I know, I'm on the forefront of all this stuff. I'm tied in with all the big players as far as the manufacturing side of it, even. So, I think that's the main thing: the unwavering commitment to quality and the commitment to the craft, whether it be installing or selling or whatever it is. We're top notch. That's what we want to do, and we won't bend that commitment for anyone, just like we don't on the install side. You know, like it's cool if you want it done wrong. We don't do it. You know, pretty much is how we've operated for the last 12 years, and that's the same way that I plan on operating my supply business. Is these are good products that I know and that we would install, and I would sell to you. You know,
Yeah. I just
tools as
noticed.
well, obviously
What's that?
tools as well, torches,
Yeah. Yeah.
irons, yeah, expanders.
I noticed something consistent here about diving through your business page, right? Is we're constantly, things are clean, things are taken care of, things are organized. And not all of us aren't just going to put our worst photos up on our social media, right?
Honestly, that's the way my rigs generally stay.
Yeah, and I believe that, and I know that about you. So why is that so important as you get into the specialty game to already have great patterns of like just awareness of the vehicle?
Hi, my name is Archie, and I don't want this, or this to cause unexpected damage to your home.
Prevent unexpected and costly damage from clogged gutters. Protect your home with one gutter guard, the trusted solution for gutter protection. Call us today to schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate.
Of the vehicle and the importance of the cleanliness.
Well, it presents well. You know, if you're the guy that the back of his truck just has a bunch of downspout boxes thrown on a machine and a ladder thrown on over in the other corner and extension cords all over the ground, it's not going to present well to a high-end client. I mean, it's not going to present well to anyone, but especially to a client that probably has a few bucks and is willing to spend it, that has that type of value that they want quality on the house. I mean, on their house, that's not going to present well. As well as, I mean, just the general, I feel like over the years, respect for the trades has waned with the younger generation, right? Like I grew up in the trades. My family was all in the trades. They owned different construction companies. And so I was able to see it from a very young age. But, you know, you should have respect for all of the equipment. That's how everybody's feeding their family, right? Like,
yes,
you should have respect for the craft. So, you know, when I see, first of all, the dollar investment, I don't even want to talk about how much I've spent on machines and everything. When I see my rigs in a crappy setting like that, that's just frustrating, as well as the longevity and the investment. But more than anything, you're gonna function faster. You know, you're gonna be way more productive out of a clean rig. And also, I learned years ago when I used to be construction superintendent, you know, we used to have laborers that would sweep floors. Sometimes I wouldn't have them sweep the floor. I would stay on after the job and I would sweep the job. And what that would allow me to do is see all the little stuff, right? Yeah. Maybe the stuff that got overlooked when you were just walking around the job doing checklists and, you know, managing crews, like staying there and cleaning out your space. You're getting eyes on everything in your space. You're getting eyes on where the tools are. You're getting eyes on how many counts of things you have, you know, even before you do your inventories. It just gives you an eye on everything when you keep it clean.
Yeah, 100%. I like that. And it just a direct reflection. Guys that have their trucks, like, and you're probably like me. I'm not going to say there's many days where there's any excuse for a messy truck. Like some guys will go, oh, well, it's the end of the day. I do get very last job of the day, ton of work being done, a lot of scrap piled in. I get those days. But in general, my truck's not going to just be looking like crap by 10:30 or 1:15 in the middle of the day on a job. Hell no, that's like my office. Yeah. It's a direct reflection of what the job site probably looks like.
Yeah.
Versus the type of stuff that'll be left in the gutter or tools that'll be left on the roof or just all of those things. So as an owner, when I pull up and I see, again, except for those exceptions, the truck just a disaster for kind of no reason. A great example is when the zip screw box or bin, you know, it happens in life. It falls and it blasts everywhere.
Yeah. And
they don't clean them up right away. It's like they'll get, I'm like, what?
No. Well, you know what? Like
crazy.
Honestly, that's one of the biggest things that we you know train our guys on is the cleanliness. Even so far as when you get out of the truck and you're getting ready, like you saw the way that one rig was set up, and they're all set up like that. We have our downspout rack, we have our stands right there, we have everything right there. But everything has to be processed. I mean, especially in a production business like ours, you know, you save hours and days on a year from just having everything set up, right down to, hey, when you get out of the truck, this is what you're doing. You're taking your scrap box, you're setting it right here next to your workstation. So when you're cutting your miters, you're throwing the stuff in the scrap box. Your downspout boxes, don't lay them in your, if you're walking around the downspout box, don't lay it in front of your ladder. So you've got to walk around it a million times to go to your ladder.
You got to move it 100 times.
Oh yeah. Or you take all the scrap and you set it right in front of the pickup truck, or you set it right in front of your rig. So everybody's got to walk over the scrap to get wherever they're going. Like, stuff like that is just small.
All those key efficiency things are extremely effective, and people making adjustments in their pay, right? However they're paying, it doesn't matter, hourly, piece. There's ways to make all of those work, but you're really able to maximize the joy of the added bonuses and things, right? That your employees really like to stick around for years to come because they're helping you save money. They're not stepping on the boxes of hangers. They're not stepping over crap all in the truck, climbing, taking risks, doing all these workman comp claims on you, because the rig can get tight. The rig can get tight, and you should have the same walkway every day.
So one of the things that was happening with my newer leader was he was overstocking the rig. Yeah. Like, that's frustrating too. It's like, listen, we got 160 feet of downspout going.
That was me. I would.
Yeah. And next thing you know,
I loved having like a rolling warehouse on wheels, because I would upsell everything. And, I'd always.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, the way we're set up right now, we keep 200 feet of 3x4 white on, and then 200 feet of 2x3 white on. And then obviously if we have a color job, that gets loaded onto the truck per day. But generally we're set up to go do white. And, I would show up and there'd be like 4 boxes of 3x4. And I'm like, every time you move that box is an opportunity for that product to get damaged. Unless you plan on selling a whole other job that we're going to get done today. Like, the odds of you putting up 400 feet are slim to none. Right.
Well, we're talking specialty today. So let's just go up one more level, and it's a box of 4-inch round, or a box of 4-inch round copper, or smooth copper, 4x4, something custom ordered. Again, every time that box gets moved, we appreciate the employees, wanting to take a little bit more, but they do have to be aware of, especially once we get into the specialty, things can get dented easier, and we kind of just need to take out what was sold with the overs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you want to bring a couple extra sticks, that's fine. Things happen. Lord knows sometimes things, come out damaged. But I think that goes back to one of the main things too, if you think you're ready for specialty, is that you need to be very organized, because this isn't like a, hey, grab a hang fast, keep it moving, right? It's not production work the same way. I mean, I suppose it can be, but for the most part, there's different parts for different jobs.
There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of screws that go with certain things, and self tappers, and long and short, and
half round. You start getting hangers. I mean, how many different hangers are there for half round?
Everything, right?
There's dozens and dozens of different hangers for half rounds, and if you start offering too many options to customers, you end up with a lot of one-offs that are kicking around the shop. But you've got to be very organized. You've got to have a good process for your inventory and as well as your ordering, because I mean, even me now, as much as I do, I mean, I'm around 35% specialty in a market that's almost no specialty. I would say some of the biggest hangups are you can't move as fast, right? Like, if you sold a half round yesterday and it needs these hangers, now these hangers are a week and a half out, then you got to get powder coated or painted. Like, you can't move on them as fast as you can the production stuff, like K-style.
Correct.
So, you've really got to be organized. You've got to have a good inventory process, a good ordering process, as well as good relationship with your vendors. You've got to get your vendors in line first. I mean, even me at this point, it's like endless amounts of.
It's endless. And your customer, right? You want to have great communication in this slower temperament style of sale, right? Where sometimes whether it's a $16,000 job, a $40,000, $100,000 job, right? That sale might not be a first call close, right? Very rarely going with you, but you're going to show them some products. You might come back by a couple times with a couple different stamped hangers or something, casted hangers, whatever it is, if they're looking. So this could be a little process of you courting them into the right product, right? Because like you said, there's a vast array.
Your average K-style customer is going to be maybe 2 touches.
Right.
You start getting into the specialty stuff, and it's not uncommon to have 6, 7, 8
5 to 10 touches
all day.
And then communicating to them, like I'm sure you're very similar to me. When I get off the phone with Augustine or World Gutter or whoever, and they're giving me the update. Hey, the parts are made, the parts are in, the parts have been shipped. I can call that customer back and let them know, hey, we wanted to let you know we're still a go for this upcoming schedule date. And I've heard from the manufacturer as well, all the copper, all the bulk, whatever's coming in. They love that communication as well, too. You have to be good, because that last touch and then 3.5 weeks go by because of whatever.
Yeah.
Usually they start blowing you up. You know that.
I would say though that your average specialty customer is much more patient.
Yes, they're nice people.
Yeah, they're much more patient. They're waiting for the quality. They can sniff out generally, somebody that's not really. I mean, I sell a lot of work because other people weren't comfortable and they could tell.
Yeah.
We have a portfolio of doing this specialty kind of stuff. Now, every once in a while, there's a few guys that sneak in and steal my design. You all know who you are, but so, and they might get it, come in cheaper than me. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't say that's the norm. I mean, our reputation sells a lot of our product. But that comes with the territory. Like I was saying, I don't think the specialty game is for year 2. I don't think the specialty game is for year 1. I mean, if you want to do a roll and drop or something, or a chop and drop with somebody, certainly, but you've got to you got to be patient, first of all. I mean, as you know, I'm kind of making my market.
Right.
It's not like you buy a machine and you're off to the races. You might go buy a $40,000, $50,000 machine. Maybe you had a couple jobs sold for it before you got it. But, until you establish a good sales process, until you establish that you can sell at high margins, I don't think somebody that doesn't have a good sales technique or presentation is going to be successful in the specialty business unless you're giving it away, which I don't think, if you're giving away specialty, it's not worth it. It's not worth it if you're giving it away, because it takes longer too. And you can put up a lot of K-style in the amount of time it takes you to go put up a 6-inch half-round external hanger job,
Talk to me about this continuous hanger setup here.
Oh, as you know, I love it. I'm actually an advocate, especially up here in the Northeast. That is actually a 7-inch continuous hanger.
Yep.
On our 7-inch K. That was a beautiful home. And actually, so as far as I know, I'm the only guy installing. Oh, I know I'm the only guy really installing 7-inch in my market. But that was actually, we're in one of the snowiest markets, as you know, that Alurex continuous hanger. I was nervous because I bought my 7-inch machine last year, and we got a super bad winter, man. There's pictures on Facebook. Like, it was wild. We had like 6-7 feet of snow at times, feet and feet of ice on roofs. And I thought for sure that those gutters were going to be laying on the ground, man. I was revving up the warranty machine. I was like, boy, we're going to have a lot of 7-inch laying on the ground. And the spring came around and nothing was laying on the ground as far as 7-inch. Nothing was laying on the ground. It was pretty impressive, but those guys are a class act. I was just with Tommy and Tim yesterday. Met, discussed a few things, had a little lunch. But they're a great operation over there. And especially if you live in those snowy climates. Now you guys have been starting to get it down in Florida too. I've been pushing to get it down there myself. I had quite a few guys that I talked to, but it was just tough to get for a while. I mean, it's a nice product. It goes up all at once. You know what I mean? We do it. Now, if you notice in this picture, go back there.
Yep.
All the way down on that right side, you can see there's 2 screws.
Yeah.
So people are always concerned, well, how do you get back into the gutter? And a lot of guys don't install them with the access panels, but they actually sell access panels with it. And you can, leave it off where there's a hole, because that's going to be the point where it clogs the most. You can even put one on the far end of the gutter if it ever needs to be flushed, because there's no such thing as maintenance free. We all know that. Yep. So there's a whole line of accessories, and we actually sell that as well at Northeast Specialty. So we sell all the Alurex products. We sell all of the accessories. And actually, I just yesterday, Tommy called me and said, hey, you're going to be one of our elite installers. So nice. They actually use some of our videos that I've sent them over the years as far as production and install processes. So we're actually a dealer of that as well. And you can always reach out to us. We'll be happy to send you videos on the install process. There's a few accessories they don't make that I think you've seen videos of, where we can make the 7-inch access panels on site or in the shop. So, I mean, it's a great product. And now I know you guys are starting to get into it now too. You're a little hesitant. I like it. How do you like it so far?
Yeah, it was good. So we did that training program for certification, and then we just did the collab, right? Mothers, gutters, gutter growth. Yeah. Then we had, which was really cool, we had 3 other owners come by, local owners that are just really good friends of mine that were teammates or worked alongside of me over the years. James, Alex, and Corey. So we were able to just do like a really cool community collab, get trained up on it, and do a full house. I mean, we did a 400 linear foot home, 2-story tile roof. We got a little taste of all of it. Like there was some custom end caps on it, right? Because like acutes or something. So yeah, I got to be out there. I cut the majority of the gutter. The guys were just killing it. We went with the 4-inch round downspout on that particular project, right? And Debbie was out there. Robert came down. So he's actually our distributor for South Florida right now, up in Orlando.
Yeah.
So we can order through him. And I thought it was cool. And I don't know if you saw the video. I had to test it out. I told Alurex, like, I want to know. So I went and hung from the gutter. And
so
it was good.
When I first started installing it, for the years I resisted that product. Once upon a time, they were Plygem. Well, they weren't Plygem. They would manufacture for Plygem and they would sell under Plygem. And then they went off on their own. And I never used the product. And the main reason was when you're installing it, you can almost pull down on it. It doesn't seem like as strong as a bar bracket, right? So I would talk to them and I'm like, guys, like not for nothing, I can't install this product up here. It's not going to work. But the strength of the product is actually that it has some give.
Yes.
So it can come down, it can pull right down, and it has memory in the aluminum. It pops right back. It was giving me fits for a little bit because I couldn't get my end cap straight. Like, how sometimes you're putting a gutter up, screwed up fascia or something. So we've came up with a process for that. But I mean, honestly, it's a no-brainer if you're in the market, as well as the fact that now you're installing a continuous hanger. So you don't even have to just sell it as leaf protection. You can also sell it as a stronger hanger up. I mean, down there with the hurricanes, whenever I don't, that's also a benefit.
I think that's the play. And I'm fair game. Obviously, my podcast is sponsored by One Gutter Guard. We have it here. I don't think you've really got to deal with it much, have you?
No. I haven't. I mean, I would not. It's not that I'm opposed to it by any means. I haven't really seen it. I know I've seen you do some stuff with it, like the miters and stuff. It looked tight.
Yeah, I'm not coming over top. I think both of these products have a lot of value. This particular product I like because of the interchangeable mesh, right? And there's an opportunity. We're just being honest on here, right? And we hold these companies accountable for where they need to grow, all of them, right? You don't hold your tongue, and neither do I. And so for many years, my conversation around the Alurex style product was, well, you don't need the strength necessarily.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was a different mindset where you don't need the strength in South Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't. There's not that much rain. Oh. And in fact, the tighter bead style top made me very nervous for overflow because of other products like SmartFlow or EcoGuard or any of those continuous topper that aren't hangers assists, that everybody uses, and that's fine. I have a fair amount of issues when there's extremely heavy rain with the water coming over.
Yeah.
It just can't take it. And that was my first look at Alurex. That was what mattered to me most. And they were able to build trust in me in that. And I see it time and time again work with a heavy rain flow. Yeah. I absolutely believe it's amazing for the North and can be very popular in South Florida as well because of the hurricanes. I think that's going to have to be, and I'll support hopefully the growth of that market. Then there's another type of house where One Gutter Guard is a solution that's a separate solution. And I think that
work for nothing works well against pine, honestly. That's always a problem. But how does that work as far as because up here we have a really humid, foresty type of climate in central New York. So you end up with a lot of.
So what we have here, 24 mesh, 18 mesh, 12 mesh. I'm from Michigan, so I understand snow load. I understand region.
You know what ends up happening? Even mildew and stuff will gloss right across that, or go right across it. Not that, but that 24 gauge that 24 is probably pretty nice.
The 24 works amazing for the pollen and the pine. and
Yeah.
it brushes off amazingly well. We not scared to talk about the maintenance side of it. Just not, right?
And
So
hey, for all you guys out there too, while we're talking about gutter guards, don't tell somebody they got a lifetime warranty on their gutters not clogging and no maintenance. For the love of God, it's not a real thing. Just so there's no such thing as that. If you do have that product, please call me at Northeast Specialty Guard Supply because I would love to purchase that. So,
how do people reach out to you if they were interested locally in watching you and your growth and specialty,
right on
and or
Facebook.
any just questions for you?
You can go right on Facebook Messenger, as well as Northeast Specialty or guttersupply.com. You can reach out to us. I mean, even reach out to me personally. I'm available on Facebook. Give me a like, and I'll certainly follow you back. As you know as well as I know, we don't have a problem helping guys out. I mean, and we all help each other out. I'm not saying I'm the authority of gutters by any means. I call you for questions. People call all the time.
It would all grow from somewhere.
But if you need to get a hold of me, give me a shout, and I'll be happy just to shoot the shit with you a little bit. And if you've got questions about any of it, or about the specialty stuff, you have any questions, we're always happy to help out. If you want to do a job design or something.
I think you're a wealth of knowledge. I appreciate you. You've been stepping up. I know you've always been helpful, but you're in an official mentor role over at our gutter growth program. So anybody that's listening to this and they're like, I might want to think about getting into specialty, or maybe I'm already in specialty and I just don't know what the next move is. Tom, I just kind of want to shout you out, man. So you got the freaking 8-inch half round coming.
Yes. Super cheap.
So very, very cool.
I've been working on that for a year and a half, getting that thing.
And so that's just absolutely amazing that you're going to be able to add that to your arsenal and what it does for your margins. You're living a life right now where you and your wife are able to vacation, your travel, you're outside of normal life, you're fairly worry-free, and your business has systems and processes. And I know that you're open and willing to share with other people about how you've been able to achieve that level of success. You guys can reach out to Tom, or come find him in our gutter growth program.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, maybe if you just want to do a few specialty jobs, if you don't have enough work on your plate or whatever to justify a machine, there's no shame. There's companies that do chop and drops. I do chop and drops up here all over the Northeast. I have some guys that I do that for that are in the group, and they do well with it. I mean, maybe you don't want to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on machines.
Right.
There's like you mentioned the other day, there's maintenance involved. There's maintenance on the rigs, well,
you got to put it in a rig, right? You can't just buy the machines. You got to put it in the rig, and it's a bigger rig. The bigger these machines are, the longer rigs you need,
Yeah, I mean, the rig I just bought was 22 plus a V. I buy them all aluminum up here in the Northeast.
Right.
I don't want to rust into pieces, but I mean, the stuff's not cheap. I mean, me personally, I would never build out any kind of gutter rig and anything that other than aluminum trailer, because in 6 years it's going to rot into pieces. The tongue's going to rot off the thing. It's going to look like ass. So, the trailer I just bought is $24,000. Right? And another lots of dollars for the machine, and then another lots of
dollars for that truck.
Then lots of dollars for a pickup truck. So, it's the specialty market, I think, honestly, is for the more experienced guys. The guys that have been in the market 4 or 5 years really understand it, really have their parts and pieces in place, have a few bucks to sit at that they can, let go of, that isn't going to hurt them for a little bit until you recoup your money. Our 8-inch machine, actually, I mean, I've already sold, 60 G's.
There we go. Yeah.
I mean, there 8-inch half round gutter is not a thing up here. You know what I mean? I've already got a lot of work sold for my machine before I even got it, but that was for 3 years now of learning and developing a technique to sell this stuff.
Yes.
I talked to some of my competition, and we all have a good relationship for the most part, and they'll readily admit, like, they don't really know how to do it that way. It's a whole process and a whole mindset and a whole presentation to really push the customer from K to a specialty product. A lot of them, if you're in a market where, listen, there's a bunch of half round and you're getting a lot of calls already for it, it'll be much easier for you. But if you're not already there, a lot of my customers are conversions. They called me and they said, "Hey, I want K-style gutter," or they want gutter. And then I show up
the aesthetic,
gajillion options.
Yeah.
And you start talking about design, and you've got to have a good eye for design. That's one of the main things when it comes to specialty that I've realized too, is if you have no clue what you're looking at, and you can't notice design cues in the house that might be accentuated by a half round gutter or an angle face gutter, you're probably going to have a little bit tougher time selling it,
Very true. That's a great point.
Right? Like, as well as I know, if you show up to a contemporary, what are you going to sell? What would you sell?
If I showed up to a contemporary?
Yeah. What would you push?
I mean, it really just depends on where the contemporary area is. I mean, what are you going to use?
Okay, so I'm saying like flat roof, white stucco.
You're going to put some type of like flat face, some modern.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're going to go with a flat face or a box.
Right.
Or, round downspouts go well on everything, honestly.
Everything. But again, you have to have that eye, and I understand. I respect what you were trying to ask. I apologize. I was just even a higher artistic. Like, I get to the house and then I'm vibing with it, and I want to ask them, are they looking for any aesthetical option that's not just builder grade? And if they cue in on that, right, then we're going to go in for the kill and help them design something very elegant for their home.
Yeah, it's not bad to butter them up either when you show up to a nice home and it looks like the homeowner obviously takes pride in it, put a lot of money into it. Hey, ma'am, it really looks like you take a lot of pride in this home. It looks great. Everything looks great. You had a lot of thought into this thing. Let's really talk about how we can make the gutters really set it off. That's a good segue right into it. And just start to coerce them over to, hey, maybe this is going to work well. This is going to work well. And this will look nice over here. And this is going to work with your board and batten. Or maybe they got an old Victorian. You know what? That would be period appropriate here. Let's really go to a 6-inch or an 8-inch half round. This is what this house really needs to be. This is going to look like a Bob Ross painting settled in the woods here.
Exactly. That's what you want. And when you go the extra mile and let them know that you can help ease their mind and take them to a place of peace, that helps you close the deal.
And then when you build a portfolio, as I know you have a pretty expansive portfolio. Once you have a portfolio, because most of your competition is not going to have a portfolio. They might send you some stock photos or whatever it may be. But once you have a portfolio of, you want to do some copper gutters? Maybe the customer's getting a couple prices. Okay, cool. Let me show you these 25 projects I've done. If you want some references, I can certainly give you some references too. Because these customers are the Ferrari customers, the Mercedes customers. They're not the Honda Civic customers. These are the customers that really want quality. They really want a good install. They're not saying that they're frivolous by any means, but they don't mind. I mean, listen, a lot of these jobs I sell are 15, 20, 30. I mean, I've shown you some of my tickets.
Yeah.
And they happen pretty consistently, but it comes with a lot of touch points, and it comes with doing a quality install. It comes with a good follow-up. Comes with a good administrative presentation. I mean, my wife, Nicole, is great on the front end. I get comments all the time about how good she is on the front end and how much of a pleasure she is to deal.
That's huge.
She watched me build the business from the beginning, so she actually knows quite a bit about gutter as well. So it's just, there's a lot of, you've got to have a well-rounded business, I'd say, before making a run at half round.
You'd better have a good plan.
Specialty in general.
Yeah. You want to have a good plan. You want to have a good foundation. So our takeaways are, if you're gonna start to position yourself to go towards specialty, start working now on making sure your team is awesome with the cleanliness, and that they're accountable. And what does accountable mean? Just a little test. Does Rob put his coffee on top of the trash can when the trash can's already filling over, or does he go to put his coffee there and realize he should just take the trash out? It's just those little systems and processes that we can teach our employees and hold them to a certain standard that they'll start to hold each other to, right? The employee peer to peer, as well as peer to the customer. And they have a better experience, and we can charge them more. We can profit more.
Yeah. And let's talk about real quick before we get out of here, the elephant in the room. The specialty market is a special little market that we all do pretty well in. If you're going to enter the specialty market, please don't blow the bottom out of the thing. You know what I mean? Come in, learn how to sell value, learn how to sell at high margins so this thing can stay nice. The last thing we need is a bunch of K-style guys hopping in there and just blowing specialty. I mean, I think I speak for everybody that's in the specialty market right now. If you're going to come in, learn how to sell, come up with some nice processes. Don't cut everybody's throat. It's a nice market. There's not a lot of us doing it. If you want to join it, we can't stop you, but be ethical about treating the market the way it needs to be treated. And that's getting quality money for quality craftsmanship. So,
Yeah.
right.
No, 100%. I mean, lesson of the day. What would you do? I mean, if you had like 20 something half round miters to cut, I mean, would you just be there all day on the ground, just cutting them out, or would you just hand tab them up and just be specialty about it?
Oh no, I would hand tab them.
I was curious.
That's
Tom,
why would
Tom,
you like that's
I don't even know. I
I
mean,
mean that's part of the thing, like especially if you're doing copper work. Like I'm not going to say that we never use a strip miter when we're doing aluminum.
no, of course.
You know, and sometimes I hand cut, sometimes I strip.
You sell what you sell, but I was just curious if you had a process in place. If you had a bunch of miters to do, would you just hand tab them? Right? You guys hand tab over there?
Of course.
Yeah,
of course we do. Especially
so I'm
copper.
just letting people know there's a whole nother level of specialty that like you were talking about. It's called technique. Yeah, and craftsmanship. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, and you have to, and you know, you have to really. Well, let's talk about copper. If you're gonna go against, right? You know what I'm about to say. So, if you're gonna go after copper work, me personally, I think that if you're gonna sell copper work, there's no other way to do it than to solder. Correct. You know what? Take a few 4 or 5 days, invest in a few tools, hang out in your garage, drink a beer, and learn how to lay a little bit of solder. You know, we all like to flex. So look how nice our solder joints look, right? You know, I've shared some photos with you and stuff. But realistically, that's more of a flex for you. Like externally, if you're doing it on downstock, you certainly want to look nice. But your first few jobs, if you're not perfect, but let's get that thing steeled up with some solder. That goes to undercutting the market. When I go and I bid a job, and my job is soldered every miter and soldered every full solder job, and then a guy comes in, and I think everybody's saying Rusco on these pages. I'm sure I'm gonna get some hate for it, but you know, you're taking, in my eyes, you're taking that job away from craftsmen at that point. You know what I mean? Like, and somebody that's going to go do it right can never compete with Rusco guy. So I would personally ask, as nobody, that let's learn how to, you know, let's get that torch fired up. Let's get that iron fired up, and let's make the market what it should be. Let's not be putting up caulked gutters, because that doesn't burn my ass. That burns my ass more than anything when I lose a copper job and then I found out the dude caulked it. It's like, oh, okay.
Oh, that makes sense. Cool. Yeah. No wonder.
You know, and they don't tell the customer that. I mean, certainly I tell them that I'm going to solder it, but you know, I lost a rate job last year to a dude that went and, or maybe it was 2 years ago, on one of the state parks, and then I found out he went and put copper all over the place and caulked it. It's like, oh, that was awesome, you know. So in turn, he essentially gave away copper, because there's no way you're going to do a solder job for the same price that you're going to caulk something. It's real fun to go back and scrape out all that solder, all that caulking, and then solder too. Such a nightmare. You like that? I hate that. Yeah, I mean, I'm a purist when it comes to the copper work myself, as you know. I'm vocal about it. Yeah. I don't know about you. I think you've expressed it. If you can caulk it. But boy, I can't do it. It just hurts me to do it. I've just expressed that, you know, outside of someone asking me what I recommend, I just stopped commenting on box miters, strip miters, caulking, copper. If someone reached out to me and says, what's the proper way, then we're going to talk about the proper way. But I can't just give away the game anymore on the chat. What I like, and I'm excited about, I'll end with this, is AI is coming up. I know that you're getting ready to head to Michigan, so be safe. I appreciate you hopping on the call with me. We're really excited as an industry. I know there's a bunch of us that are really stoked that you got this 8-inch half round coming, man. What a blast. There's like 6 or 8 guys now that have bought specialty machines in the group, and there's one guy that's real close that we've talked about before. I think he's going to pull the trigger. The guys in the group are doing really well, man. All of them are learning. Like, we have a lot of excitement. You know that you're a part of it, and I appreciate you on that. So yeah, for sure, it's good. It's worth it. For sure. Those guys, the guys in the group, you know, people can say what they want to say about the group and yada yada yada, but I mean, everybody in the group is thriving. Really, I don't think anyone says anything about the group. I think that people don't like my shoes or my jackets or my jewelry or things I've worked really hard for, installing gutters for a quarter century. But you know, they're allowed to feel that way, and I'm allowed to take. I'm allowed for it to hurt my feelings. I'm allowed for me to let it roll off my shoulders. Hey man, hate watching is views too. Hate watching is views comes a lot of responsibility, and I'm going to have to be responsible for the way that I let those things affect me and the way that I try to
not be reactionary. I give credit where it's due. I worked for a gentleman named Nathan Hebert for Brothers Gutters. We crushed it together. We did part ways, but he always talked to me about not being reactionary and not working with my back to the wall. And I learned a lot from him in that aspect. So there's probably a first shout out in many years to him.
What I tell people,
other things he deserves, but
what I tell people when they ask, because they know you and I, we built a friendship. You know, I think at first when we met in the group, I remember I was in the group and then you came in. I was on a call in my truck, but regardless, I think we both didn't really know what to think of each other. I think we were both,
sure.
well, this guy, look at this guy. He got a big mouth on him, yada, yada, yada. And then, we've built up the relationship. But when people ask me, I go, first of all, there's two different people. There's influencer Grant, and then there's Grant outside of being the influencer Grant. But realistically, nobody would watch Grant Taylor Hubbard if he was, a slack-jawed, slow talking.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No,
that's kind of part of the gig. That's the allure.
It's just who I am. It's fun. I like dressing up nice. I like having fun. I like fashion. And it doesn't make me a wannabe. I'm the real deal. People know me. Often this isn't about me. Often people ask other people like, well, how long is Grant really? You could ask Tony Cobb. I know everybody knows that gentleman. I started working for him back in the 90s when I was just a young kid. I've been in this. I definitely have paved my own way, but it has been along with a whole bunch of teams, Tom. A lot of owners gave me an opportunity to do a lot of massive work. I gave people an opportunity when I owned my own gutter business in the past, and I've got to work alongside and learn everything I know from others. There was a lot of days of self-taught stuff too, right? But 29 years, man, I got to work around, and I'm still working alongside of people that teach me all kinds of stuff about the gutter business and the business side.
Well, I tell people all the time about the group, honestly, like you and I, when we came up, there was no resources besides mentors that you met through the business or other businesses, right? There was no.
Well, mine were just usually old drunks or meth heads. They weren't teaching.
Hey, don't sleep on that old drunk though. They'll need hand cut. So
they weren't teaching me anything. They just made me work. I was a great worker, and they just made me slave for them all day for many, many years. But if you know my story, I got the opportunity at a very young age to work for Steve Shumway prior to working for Steve Willis. That's my first job. And he showed me a ton of what I know about gutters, and I never forgot it. And he told me that very first day, man, it's just gutters, not a big deal. It's a monster house. You're going to spend a month over here. And I did in outside of Detroit, massive 2- and 3-story home. There's about 600 feet of gutter, about 800 feet of downspout. There's a big 5-inch spike and furl with heat tape. And I was 16, bro.
Yeah.
And I never did gutters before. Yeah, he showed me a little bit. And he would come, true stories. He would come and he would say, well, you dented the gutter there today. But other than that, everything looks good. Or, hey, those 2 elbows are inside of. But I did nice, straight, clean work, and I knew how to hit a spike. Once he taught me, I knew how to hit a spike. I rarely messed up. But I was slow, and I was young, and it was cold. It was in Bloomfield. I'll never forget where it placed. Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, in like November or something of 1996. I just turned 16 in September. I was just a whippersnapper, man.
Yeah.
And I was over there by myself.
But I mean, imagine
the hard way.
Imagine this, like nowadays, all of the things that I had to screw up and you had to screw up to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whether you're in this mentorship group or another mentorship group,
yeah,
you're already talking to a bunch of other guys that made all those mistakes. You can leapfrog literally years, So
you can grab a decade through mentorship or coaching or just the right best buddy or something in the industry. You really can, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the things that I know all the times I've just like I was saying, you've jammed up a machine or your gutter's not running out straight,
right?
Or this broke or that broke, or you come into a weird angle. Like you just had to do it. You just had to figure it out, and it took. I mean, oh my God, I can only imagine how many weeks of my life I've spent learning lessons.
Many thousands.
Yeah. So many weeks of my life learning lessons, and now you can hop into these things and ask guys in the group. I mean, there's certainly guys with more experience than me, and even some guys that I don't know if there's that many guys that have more experience than you. Maybe in general business, but in the gutter industry, probably not a ton in the group. But either way, I mean, there's monsters in there that are doing 3.
No, there's people doing that.
I think Jeff Cope does like 3-4 million. He's got a bunch of trucks running, but these are dudes that, you know, they've been around the business quite a while, and they've tripped over enough things.
Yeah, those are the people I want to be in the room with, because I like learning. You know, I like learning the business side. People are like, some people want me to be more humble. Here's my humble moment. I am still learning certain parts of the business side of life. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why I'm in the room with people like Tom, the other 5, 6, 7 coaches, mentors I brought on, my partners, why I love this partnership with all these other guys that I'm part of. They could learn so much value individually, different from Tim, John D, John M, people like Scott Whaley, people like just being in the same room as Keith Herron or Keith Thompson at Spectra in the big room, talking big plans and big ideas and big numbers. It's a total honor to be in all of those places. Yeah. But I will say, if you want to talk gutter installation, I'm one of the guys to come find for sure.
I mean, and I talk to guys about, and we're not going to talk about it here. I'm not going to give away all the stuff for free, but we certainly, I mean, we talk to guys about how to leverage to purchase these machines, risk management.
Yeah.
You know, all that kind of stuff, you know, how to utilize your credit properly to succeed. You know, I know there's probably quite a few people that want to do everything cash. I don't personally think that's the smartest way to go. As an ARAB myself, you always use somebody else's money, but you know, we're certainly all willing to discuss, you know, how to use your position and leverage things to make sure that you're getting ahead. You know, that's discussed quite lengthy with quite a few people. I have had those conversations, and they've utilized that to great effect. So
the value is deep, and what we don't have going on in gutter growth is a lack of experience. There is a massive, we've pride ourselves in recruiting the absolute best talent that we've been able to reach out to help mentor. And I'm proud to say you're one of those people. It was awesome hanging out with you with the family a couple weekends ago. Thank you for the invite, you and Chris. We can't wait to do it again. I can't wait to talk to you again soon. We will catch up. Thanks for your time today.
All right, buddy. It was a pleasure.